Hello and welcome to Recipe Wars. I am Judith Jones.
And I'm Lalita Lopansary.
And today we will be cooking up enchiladas to see who will make the best. I'm going to be doing Rick Bayless's and Martha Stewart's version of tomatillo sauced enchiladas with mushrooms and spinach. Nearly forgot what it was there. And what will you be doing?
And I will be doing the recipe by Tyler Florence, which is going to be using the salsa roja version.
Very well pronounced.
And actually found some videos right here.
Oh, let's see them.
It's so fantastic.
Thank you very much.
It is wonderful. And the recipe that we're going to make with Chef Rick Bayless right now is?
Tomatillo sauced enchilada.
So it's light.
I think they want to see it.
Yeah, they certainly do. So light, no heavy.
It's actually amazingly
sauce.
light, and it fits right into what the nutritionists tell us is the best stuff for us to eat, because it's got a lot of vegetables as a filling, and the sauce is made from vegetables. It's a great dish.
Exactly.
Enchiladas are actually really traditional Mexican, very simple fare. It basically means a corn tortilla that's dipped in chili sauce and stuffed with meat and cheese. So, all right, so we're gonna add a little bit of canola oil to our pan. Make sure we get a nice sear. We cook these for about 7 minutes,
Okay.
on either side.
All right, so as I said, I am doing Rick Bayless's version. I love his recipe. This one is full of fresh veggies. We've got the spinach, we've got the mushrooms, and these beautiful tomatillos, which we're gonna make the sauce with now. Now, tomatillos are a member of the nightshade family. They're related to the gooseberry, and they're kind of tart in flavor, but they actually come like this originally, with a kind of inedible outer husk. So what you wanna do is just take that off, and sometimes you'll find these husks are brown, because they turn brown once they get ripe. And then you just want to wash your tomatillos, because they usually have a kind of waxy substance on them. So give them a good wash and they are good to go. They're really nice flavor for your salsa. So first of all, what we're going to do is get our garlic into our food processor. And we're also going to use a jalapeno. Now, jalapenos are not that spicy on the heat factor, I would say. Like, the flesh is pretty mild. It's like a green red bell pepper, but the seeds is what contains the heat. So if you put it in your mouth, you're gonna have that warm burning sensation. So we're gonna stick that in there. We're gonna let the garlic and jalapeno chop. All right. So once that's done, we're then gonna add our cilantro and our tomatillos. And then the cilantro goes in there too, and that's just gonna give that lovely freshness. Obviously cilantro is used a lot in Mexican.
And tomatillos too.
And tomatillos, yeah. They're like the staple in all green salsas. So that should now be a beautiful green salsa. And I would just eat that by itself. It's pretty good like that.
Go great on some tacos, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So while she's finishing up her enchilada sauce, Tyler Florence's recipe is a little bit more of a convenience kind of recipe, because it uses already store-bought enchilada sauce, uses canned green chilies. And he does the show on Food 911 with a guy who I guess needs help making enchiladas, and it was kind of the easy way for him to make it using canned enchilada sauce, canned chilies. So I'm gonna start by actually searing off my chicken.
And just while you're doing that, I'm just coating the bottom of a pan with some oil. He says that safflower oil is the oil that they use most in Mexican cuisine. But if you don't have that, you can use olive oil, whatever you want. And we're gonna put our green salsa into there. So what we want to do with the green salsa is reduce it down. We want it to get nice and thick, almost like a tomato puree consistency. And as you'll see soon, that's going to turn a nice dark green.
So I'm just gonna take my chicken breast and let it cook through, and I'm gonna add some diced red onions. And in the recipe, he uses frozen corn, which is not a bad idea if corn is out of season, but I would prefer to roast my own corn if that were the case. And a little bit of garlic in there as well. And he also uses stewed tomatoes. And now for the heat factor of my enchilada recipe. He uses canned chipotle and adobo, which is just smoked jalapenos, and it's gonna give it that kind of barbecue, smoky, spicy flavor. And a little bit of this goes a long way because it is really spicy. So in the recipe, Tyler Florence uses this Mexican spice blend, which I would have thought would have been easy to find in the supermarket, but it didn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist?
No, it
Mexican
doesn't
spice
exist. So I'm pretty sure most of you might have those pantry ingredients already in your pantry, which would be paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, oregano, red chili flakes. I think that's it. So I got my own mix right here. So I'm just gonna add that. And that's gonna make it a little more authentic in the Mexican spice flavor. And if you wanted to make this vegetarian, you could definitely omit the chicken, or if you want more corn in there, add more corn, or if you want more spices, add more chili to it, whatever it is to your liking.
And he also mentions as well that if you want to make this recipe vegetarian, you can do so by using vegetable broth instead of chicken broth, which we'll be using, and also by omitting the chicken instead. I'm going to start with my veggies. So on a medium heat, I'm going to use a large pan. Now, he advises to use a large pan because you want to cook the mushrooms separately and evenly. And if you have a small pan, it tends to become more stew-like, and we don't want to stew. We want them all to be nice and cooked evenly. So we've got a mixture of mushrooms here: shiitake, chanterelles, button mushrooms. And surprisingly enough, not many people know this, but mushrooms are used a lot in traditional Mexican cuisine. So once that's hot, we're gonna add the mushrooms to the pan. So as you can see, these mushrooms are browning beautifully. So now what we're gonna do is add our sliced red onion, about 3/4 of it. We're gonna leave the rest to garnish. We're gonna put that in there, and we just wanna get them translucent, leave them in there for a couple of minutes.
So my recipe, as the rest of my filling is cooking, I'm gonna add my green canned chilies. Now all this is just unripe Anaheim chilies that are roasted, peeled, and canned. So if by all means you wanna roast your own Anaheim chilies, that would definitely add another depth of flavor than using a canned chili. Just gonna season my filling with a little bit of salt and just a touch of flour to thicken up and to kind of gather any excess moisture that might make my filling watery.
So it's been a couple of minutes and the onions are looking translucent, so now it's time to add the spinach. So we've got a lot of spinach here. Now it might look a lot, but this spinach does wilt down considerably. So the spinach is wilted pretty quickly, and now it's time to add the chicken. And as I said earlier, if you want to keep this vegetarian, just omit the chicken. And we're just putting in some roasted chicken here that we've already got.
So my filling is already done. It's really fast, so I'm just gonna put it into a bowl so it can kind of cool down a little bit before I fold them into my tortillas.
So that's all mixed in. I did add some salt earlier, so I'm gonna turn that off, and I'm gonna focus back on our lovely tomatillo sauce. So that has got nice and thick, really nice consistency, and it's a little darker, and that has just brought out the sweetness of the tomatillos by reducing it down like that. So into that, we're gonna add our chicken broth, and as I said, if you wanna add vegetable broth instead, that's fine. And you know, you don't have to make your own broth. He says there's some great broths out there in the supermarkets that you can use, so that's fine. So once the chicken broth is in there, we're gonna reduce the heat to low and let that simmer for 10 minutes.
So while her sauce is simmering, I actually already have my sauce ready to go. And in the recipe, Tyler Florence suggests to buy canned enchilada sauce. Whatever that stuff is, I didn't want to use it, so we went ahead and made our own enchilada sauce, which is really simple. You take boiled tomatoes and a little bit of dried chilies, some garlic and onions, puree it up so it's nice and smooth. And for us, we added a little bit of cocoa powder, which is gonna give it that extra richness to it.
Oh, that's interesting, that's nice.
So I'm gonna start already assembling my enchiladas since it does have to bake a little bit.
Okay.
And what Tyler Florence suggested was to take a damp towel and wrap the tortillas around it like a little blanket and just microwave it for a few minutes. And what that is just gonna steam them and soften them up.
And what Rick Bayless recommends doing is actually something very different. He doesn't like to quick fry his tortillas because he says too much oil gets absorbed into them. So what he recommends doing is actually spraying them with a little bit of olive oil, if you've got one of those olive oil mist cheese spray things, or you know, one of these things. We're gonna spray them and then put them onto a baking dish, stack them up, and then put them in the oven for about 3 minutes.
And traditionally, yeah, like you said, there's other ways you can fry the tortilla, which is not as healthy in oil, but you're not gonna fry them to make tortilla chips just enough to soften them up. So in my case, I'm just going to literally, what enchilada means is dipping corn tortillas into your chili sauce and stuffing it with meat and cheese. And what I'm doing is just what Tyler Florence says is you stuff it, or you dip it, stuff it, and roll it.
So as I said, with my tortillas, I'm just gonna spray very lightly with olive oil and stack them up here on a tray, and we wanna get them nice and soft.
Now I believe back in time how enchiladas actually came about was they took corn tortillas and they would wrap just a small piece of fish inside of it, and that's what they called enchiladas.
Yep.
So I'm done dipping, stuffing, and rolling my tortillas, and to finish it up, I'm just gonna sauce the rest, or whatever amount of enchilada sauce I want on there, and I'm just gonna top it off with some cheddar cheese, jack cheese, whatever cheese you'd like, and it's gonna go in the oven for about 10 minutes at 350.
And my tortillas have just come out of the oven. They've been in there for about 3 minutes, so they're nice and soft now. I'll keep them there. So our tomatillo sauce is just about done. That is looking really beautiful now. Just a really nice consistency that we wanted. So I'm now gonna add in 3 tablespoons of crema mexicana. This is a really nice cream used a lot in Mexican cuisine, especially for sauces or moles, and that's just gonna go really well against the tartness of those tomatillos. It's gonna milden it up a little bit. So I'm just gonna eye that up, 3 tablespoons. And this is now the time to also taste your tomatillo sauce and see if it needs salt. Sometimes it might actually need a little bit of sugar because the tartness of the tomatillos might need a little bit of that sugar to bring it out, to sweeten it up a little. So I know it's gonna need some salt, so I'll put it in there. All right, so that now is ready for our tortillas to be dipped into. So similar to Lolita, we're going to dip our corn tortillas, which should be nice and soft, corn tortilla into the mix. Let it get all dipped in there. And then we're just gonna add in our lovely veggie mixture, that chicken in the middle. About 2 heaped tablespoons should do it. And then we're just gonna roll it and keep it seam-sided down there. And contrary to Lolita's, we're not actually gonna put ours in the oven. We're just gonna leave it like that. So onto our enchiladas, we're gonna spoon up that lovely tomatillo sauce. Oh, fantastic, to cover the whole thing. And just to top it off, we're gonna garnish it with some sliced red onion. That's gonna give it some nice crunch and texture. Some queso fresco, which is that beautiful, mild Mexican cheese, used a lot for garnishing. And then, of course, some fresh cilantro for some nice taste and texture.
So my enchiladas have come out of the oven. The cheese has melted. The tortillas have gotten a little bit crusty on the edges. So I'm just gonna finish it off with a few garnishes. I have some sour cream right here, and some diced tomatoes, some scallions, which I've minced up, and some cilantro. So I'm gonna plate some up for us to try, see which one's the winner. So which one should we dig into first?
Let's do yours. Let's do yours over here. See how we're gonna dig into this.
So with the salsa roja we got here, I think the sauce that the red sauce that we made really made it, and I'm really glad that we chose that rather than buying something that's canned.
Definitely. The sauce is very, very good. It's got like nice kick, a nice spice to it. All in all, it's not actually too bad. Nothing too special. Not too bad, but not too special either. I mean, I can tell the corn is like canned corn or frozen corn.
Yeah. I do like the use of all the different types of chilies with the green chilies, the chipotle.
That's right. I like that too.
And my salsa roja.
And definitely a benefit if you're going to cook for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Put it in that big baking dish. That's good. Nice in the oven.
Let's see how salsa verde goes.
All right. All right, let's dig in.
It's definitely a lighter version.
Very light. You know, it almost needs a little bit more spice, right?
Especially after eating mine first.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have put like maybe another jalapeno or a serrano in there just to get that tomatillo sauce a little bit more spicier.
Yeah.
But the freshness, you know, I love the combination of the mushrooms, the chicken, the spinach all together. The tomatillo sauce made from scratch is pretty good.
I do like my filling a little bit. Just the flavors of my filling though better.
Yes, I like the flavor. It's a lot earthier and a lot spicier. And this is lighter, more nutritious, healthier. Wow, it's a tough one.
I'm gonna vote for myself.
I knew you were gonna do that. And I'm gonna vote for myself. Because I actually quite like this lightness, this freshness, and like the textures with the garnishes of the red onion on top. I love it. I'm voting for me. So since we both love our own so much, we have found someone to do the taste test to see who will ultimately win our enchilada. So, Brandis, would you like to come and try? Great.
So this is more of a salsa verde type of
Tomatillo based?
tomatillo, and this is a salsa roja based.
Okay. I don't have a feeling I don't like
Tyler
this.
Florence is where it's at.
Well done, Tyler Florence, for store-bought food. Well done.
Not all store-bought, made my own enchilada sauce.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Brandis.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for choosing the winner.
So Tyler Florence has won this week's Recipe Wars, with Rick Bayless coming in a very close second. I am Judith Jones.
And I'm Lolita Lopansary.
And thank you so much for joining us today on Recipe Wars. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time on Recipe Wars.